chosen ones, empaths, and all the genuine souls out there. These narcissists don't like you having a belief system of any kind. They really don't like you having a belief system of any kind. And you'll often notice that the attacks, when you look back in retrospect, you'll often notice that the attacks intensified, okay, after you found God. Maybe you just grew closer to God. Maybe you always had God in your life, or the universe, or your spirituality, but maybe you wasn't so dedicated to it, or you wasn't as growing as close. And you see, whatever your case may be, they saw you growing this link with your maker, growing a link with the source, the universe, spirituality, whatever it is, right? And they didn't like it because it took the attention off them. And this is often why so much drama ensued and chaos, and the attacks intensified. This is not just romantic relationships, okay? I remember I had a friend, and I didn't believe in God or anything when in my younger years. I didn't believe in anything at all. But when I started to grow closer, when I started to, get a bit more spiritual, believe in God, start seeing things differently, he become very mean, very toxic, very weird. Okay, and I was younger, okay, so I didn't see things, I didn't understand what was happening the way that I can look upon the situation now. Alright? And I want you to understand that they fear this within you. This is spiritual warfare. They are sent by the enemy, okay, to distract you from your purpose, to distract you from seeing the light, to distract you from growing closer to God. They are a distraction. We always talk about the devil or the negative forces or the dark entities as if it's something that we can't see. But rather than that, start focusing on the ones that you can see around you, or that have been around you. That's what you need to focus on. All right? And really, a lot of, there's nothing wrong with ways of worship to, people have different views and stuff like that. I'm not insulting anyone's beliefs, like you have different views about protecting yourself and stuff like that. But really, you have to watch out for these ones that are smiling in your face. They're either deceiving, but oftentimes you've seen this intensified attack, these nasty sides emerge. Okay, you've often seen the real true colors of them come out. They may try and bully you, they may try and scare you, they may try and do these things. All right, and they do this because you're growing close to God. And you have to understand that a lot of these relationships that you're involved in come to an end because God found you. You found God. God woke you up. The universe woke you up. This is why you're no longer around these people. So if your mind ever does wander, and you think, oh, where's so-and-so? Why ain't I around so-and-so? Why ain't I doing this? Why ain't I doing that? You've got to understand that God's guided you away from these types of things. And although you may have felt comfortable in the company with these people at particular periods of time in your life, don't have any fondness in your heart for them, okay? This is a spiritual battle. It needs to be remembered every day when you're navigating, all right? Remember that person laying next to you, that person that's been around you your whole life, that they can be from the enemy. Beings of light and darkness are scattered amongst the earth, and you can't tell. There's no sign pointing to these individuals. Like, you can say red flags, you can say this, you can say that, but it's about becoming attuned with your heart. And I made a video discussing the heart the other day, but I kept using the word heartfelt, and I didn't want, maybe someone might have taken it like I was saying your heart, thinking with your heart can be always thinking emotionally and stuff like that. And in some senses it is like that, but you need to think decisively as well, because the brain can mislead you into it can mislead you. Basically, simply said, I should put it like that. It can mislead you in some ways. So you should think with your heart, and try and build the link between your brain and your heart, so it becomes like a union. All right, because many people, these narcissists and dark souls, are very separate from their heart, very, very distant from their hearts, their true selves, who they are at the core. Okay, who they are at the core, they're very, very distant from it. So just embrace. If you ever like, why did this happen to you? Like, I didn't like. You have to understand, a lot of you were growing closer to God. I've spoken to people that were, going and doing more things, the universe, going and doing more things, becoming more spiritual, and the attacks intensified. And it's very common that narcissists that are around you will expose themselves once you start getting closer to the source, once you start getting closer to the light. Okay, once you start becoming more conscious, then the light burns them from you. This is what kind of makes them unmasked. They get very unhinged around you, by you. It's difficult for them. All right. And I had someone in a session. Maybe I should. No, I'll talk about it now. I had someone in a session that they didn't believe in God, and they was in a relationship, and as they believed in God, they started to believe in God. The narcissist began to try to distract them from that. But what you have to see is, what I extracted from this story is, the narcissist in that person's life, that was involved in their life, felt, what I kind of gauged from it is, they felt uncomfortable with the person who they become, because they will feel inferior to you anyway. Narcissists, they have an inferiority complex. It's something they deeply suffer with. I'm not making fun of self-esteem and inferiority complexes, but they have an inferiority complex. All right, they really, really do. So these narcissists are walking on eggshells when they're around you. All right, and it's not that those without sin can cast the first stone and all that, right? It's not that you're perfect and stuff like that, but you're growing closer to your maker. You're growing closer to the source. You're getting closer to the universe, so you're linked with the universe, and it makes the narcissist feel very, very uncomfortable. So you'll start seeing these attacks, this nastiness, this bitterness come out of them, because you're making them feel under incredible pressure. You're making them feel under incredible pressure, and it's difficult for a narcissist to mirror and put on their performance anyway. But combined with your link with God and the universe, and it doesn't make you a better person, because there's bad people that are spiritual, there's bad people who are religious. But I'm saying, if you like, as a chosen one, authentic soul, right, to put it with your heart, and you're growing closer, it makes them feel very, very uncomfortable. All right, very, very under pressure, and your authenticity does this anyway. So even if you only started becoming more spiritual further down the line when you were with the narcissist, or whatever type of narcissist this was, even if it was further down the line, they would have still felt threatened by your authenticity and under pressure anyway. But this is just topping it off. This is really just topping it off. You becoming spiritual, you going closer to God, and this is the reason that you went through some of these vicious attacks, some of this nastiness, some of this stuff. Okay, the thing is, I want to touch on this. It's a theory, right? If you're not enmeshed with a narcissist, this is why I always talk about the solitary route. Okay, if you're not enmeshed with narcissists, or they're not already involved in your life, they don't have a way in as such, because you're doing your meditations, or you're doing your worship, or you're doing these things, and you're on the path doing your prayers. You're distracted, right? Not distracted in a bad way. You're focused in a good way on proper things. So when these people try to draw you out, you don't become pally I hope you understand what I mean by that. If you don't, I just mean you don't become overly comfortable around people and stuff like that, and it doesn't give them a way in. Okay, and if anything, you know, I might have been given some wrong advice to some people, right? I need to be as authentic and as honest as I was as possible. Okay, I think blocking is necessary if it's done under the right circumstances. If it's done under the right circumstances, these sporadic blocks, these emotional blocks, but like if you need to just get people gone from your life and it gets rid of them, you know, do it, but just do it smartly. Okay, so oftentimes like to be honest, what I would suggest, even a stage beyond that, is having a whole new number. That is, if you can't shut off a phone because of business or work or whatever, and you have to keep a number, I would say get a new phone that you know is just purely for people that are trusted. Alright, and I might start encouraging that more. Have a phone that's purely for those trusted. You'll feel the difference in the energy pool when you use another phone that you know only rings from people that are trusted. There's nothing worse than having people ring your phone, or nothing worse than having people turning up where you live or turning up and you don't want to be around them. Alright, it's uncomfortable, but you as a chosen one, empath and genuine soul, who's growing closer to God, will find the right way and do the right things. And it won't cause you too much stress the further along you go in your journey. But I would say you will feel the difference, right? So many of you are plugged into your phones, right? Collectively, most people on the earth are plugged into their phones. Having a phone for only trusted people. So if that other phone rings, you can basically not even answer it if it's not a number you know or someone who you know it is, like work related or whatever. You see, it's just an idea. You can get one of those small phones. Like, you don't have to be, you know, another smartphone. You know, you don't have to use it as your everything. Like, you do everything on it, but it can be a trusted phone, right? And whichever way you want to put it round, whether you put the toxic people on the small phone or you should do. You should have just a small phone that rings or texts. Simple phone. And I know this is off the topic, but it's something vital, and I might start encouraging it more and more, because I have always encouraged to change a number and stuff. But I understand that some of you, it's difficult for you to do that completely because you've got ties to that phone. But having a fresh start, having a fresh phone will clear your mind. Okay? So anyway, thanks for listening today. I really appreciate the support. Please book a session if you'd like to. You may donate or support to the channel if you want to. Check out the spiritual channel for more content. Our podcast is now on Spotify. All links you need are in the description box below. And I'll be back with another video soon. Peace.